right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Corner Office Chronicles podcast. I am your host, Byron Benton. Have a special guest tonight, Mr. Andy Bui, an entrepreneur. He's doing great things. I'm looking to learn from him, but as far as the audience, maybe we can all learn from him. So please introduce yourself. Tell us about
Uh,
you.
hi everyone. Hi, Brian. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast, and it's my pleasure and honor. I'm Andy. I've been entrepreneurs for the last 15 years. Founded several companies. Most of them fail, and I just moved to Canada from Vietnam 2 years ago. So basically, my work mainly involves stuff. Whether I started a startup myself with some co-founders, or I supporting other staff both as professional services as well as mentoring. So that's my background.
All right. Thank you very much. You mentioned failure, and I think it's important for everyone to know that with success comes failure. Just imagine how many times we have to fail at something to really get good at something. So, what are some of the things that you learn from failing?
Yeah, I think one thing I one there's a few things that I learned from failures, but I guess some of the most important thing is that actually you should not let the failure define you, like define who you are, define how good you are, right? Because especially in startups, the statistic says like 95% going to fail. So your default mode is fail. You're supposed to fail, right?
Definitely,
So
definitely.
the other 5-10% that can that called success. Actually, there's different kinds of success as well, right? Maybe you want a success like a big IPO or being acquired for like hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars, right? So that of course that's the success that we all want. But there are some other success that okay, I feel I be able to build a good companies and hire good people, developing a platform for them to grow, even though I have to sit down with companies for some other reasons. But I feel that the journey is great for me and for others. That my definition of a success as well. So on those failure that I mentioned mainly would be the business failure, like oh wouldn't take it to the next level. Either I run out of funding, either there's some co-founder conflict that we have to shut down the companies because we cannot go forward together. Or maybe basically the idea just like it's good, but our execution sucks. We couldn't put it out. So there are many kind of business failures. But I think in most cases, I still think it's a personal success and as well as the success of setting up something and especially can work with different type people, different type of like talents and help them grow, help them like become one step in their careers. Like one thing that I always try to do for all my companies is that whether this company can become a launchpad for the next things, whether like they can learn new skills or they've been challenged on different projects or they can realize something about themselves that okay I can do this, I should do this, I can become a developer, I can become a product manager, all these kind of things, right? But like I have this kind of like ending conversation with a lot of my staffs and people when I have to close the companies. That becomes so usual for me to have that kind of conversation, even though it's sad, right? But it's always happy in the sense that people appreciate the journey. So yeah, um, my point is that you should not let the failure define you because there are different ways to looking at something that fail. And as long as you enjoy the journeys, I think that is the only way of success that you can control because you
All right,
cannot control business outcome, but you can control how you feel about the journeys, how
I
you
agree.
think the journey helping you.
I agree. I agree. Uh, that's a great point, by the way. Um, my next question: You're an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. What got you into entrepreneurship? You know,
Mm,
what made you take
interesting.
that leap of faith? You know, because plenty of people always say they want to do things for themselves, but you actually went out and killed something, brought it back home. You know,
Mm,
a lot of
mm,
other
mm.
people they have the means to do it, but they would rather work for someone else. So what made you? What do you? And after you ask that, please don't let me forget. The next question is: Do you think entrepreneurs are they born or are they made? And I'll save that question for next. What got you into entrepreneurship?
Mm. I think that's a very interesting question. I'm not sure was born entrepreneurs or I was met into it, but I guess my first ventures is actually when I in second years. And that's when I study at National University of Singapore. I am in electrical engineering. So during second year summer, right? Basically, normally people will fly back home to enjoy the summer vacation, but I stay back with some friends, and then we say, okay, let's try to do something. That was 2004. So that is when the whole internet, websites, everything, internet marketing, only thing are very at the beginnings. But like we say, okay, build up a website, we can do that. Doing some internet marketing stuff for people, especially business, that's something we can do. So we just set up a company together. It's called World Internet Marketing Group, the very big names. But we go out basically offering people that, hey, can we build your website? Can we do something with your business? We go out and talking to restaurants and some local business to try to offer them that service. And actually, we not even know how to do it, but we had friends back in Vietnam that can do some coding. So basically, we just arbitrage there. Yeah, but it's not really going anywhere because, of course, we just students, and after the summer, we just like give up. Right. So that my first ventures. And go back to your question on like why I become an entrepreneur, why I do this on this kind of entrepreneur journey, right? I think it changed over time because my first actually official venture is when I after I graduated, I become software engineer for 3 years. But basically just to fulfill my obligation with the Singapore government, they give me some grant to work, to study there, so I need to work there for 3 years. Yeah, but after 3 years, and then during that, I also in some social clubs for own Vietnamese professionals in Singapore, and then we have a like-minded group saying, okay, we should do something entrepreneurs. We call ourselves like enterprise family, right? So basically, we try to make money by doing different things, and and one thing is that we have a delegation coming from Vietnam. They want to visit like the university, some of the government agency in Singapore. We have a connection, and then the guy asking us, okay, can you host them? Can you have to do some translation? And yeah, that's our first project, and we're making a few $1,000s out of that, and we're happy. No, and to me, at that point of time, I still have my software engineering job, like day job, but doing that make me feel okay. Maybe this is something interesting because what I found is that it's not boring, like it's not repetitive, right? You come to a 9 to 5 job, especially even like engineering back then. I work for Fuji Xerox, and I fix things like on the printers, like the network component for it. But then it's kind of routines. Like you come to work every day, you go back home, go shopping, cinemas. No, that's just what 3 boring years for me. Um, and then I found this new thing that basically I can do something else. And basically there's no job description because basically you go out and do problem solving. I guess what I've been uh, hooked on is the problem solving nature of like building up a business. You have to solve your customer problems, your business problem there, and then allow small things that popping up like that require you to be resourceful, be creative on solving it. So I think I get hooked into that kind of feelings. So that's why in 2009, I decided together with that group of friends, we decided, okay, let's do something serious. Now let's start a business in Vietnam. And while like eight of us actually at that point in time is still in Singapore, I and another two of us um, went back to Vietnam first and started setting up our business there to do some sort of book publishing and then organizing soft skills trainings for the student. We franchise one of the most successful training program in Singapore and then bring back to Vietnam and do on the like we translate to Vietnam and then we organize this training program, right? So basically, I give up a lot of good things. Only when looking back, I think it's quite stupid. But back then, okay, I think I've been compelled and have a strong belief that this is something I should do. Of course, that I guess the reason behind is that okay, being an entrepreneur, build your own business, feel good and had the freedoms and all of that. But of course, that also after a while, I realized, oh shit, I could not really making enough money to survive, giving up the high salary in Singapore, and then basically taking like only 1/5 of the salary in Vietnam, and then burn through all my saving, even have a lot of debts myself as well. So that's not really a good business or even financial decision. But I never regret coming back to Vietnam because after that, I basically I build I think both from myself as the entrepreneurs and then people look at me as an entrepreneur. So they pulling me along to other journeys. Like so most of the stuff that I co-founded later is because of that period where I show the world back then that who I am, what I can do, and then the opportunity just come up and up again like over the years, right? So and after that, I of course I've been smarter, try to set something that at least I can survive. Like even doing stuff, so it's not a way to give to pay yourself a very high salary, but sufficient salary so that you don't have to worry, and then know how to make better money, build a bigger teams, and then learn all the thing along the way from management to leadership, and of course from finance to sales to marketing to product development, I almost everything. So that then I think during that period, the compelling reason for me is actually the learning, the accelerated learning, meaning that I can learn a lot. And then after that, the also kick in the joy of like helping other people grow. So that's also the reason that keep me doing because I believe that when I setting up business, I open a company not just for myself, but we both solving the problem for our customers. People have problems everywhere, right? And have own kind of problems, and some problem we can solve very well. So we solve them, and then they compensate us with the money. But on the other side, the balance that the benefits of doing all this is to also feeding me the joy of seeing other people grow through my companies.
Definitely, definitely,
Sorry,
definitely.
sorry for a very long answer.
No, 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 no. Well, I'm looking forward to learning more about you, but also, let other people know about you as well. So let's get the full story. Let's get the full story. Uh,
Yeah.
Another question I had, which I kind of alluded to earlier, what do you think entrepreneurs are born or are they made? Y'all, because
Uh,
we all hear about these stories about kids selling lemonade at
yeah.
7 years old or selling newspapers,
Yeah.
delivering newspapers.
Mm. I think it is a combination of both, and also it's about the luck and the timing as well. So like even the case of the 7 years old kids, right? He or she want to do that because they see that somewhere else, right? They've been exposed to that environment. Okay, there's some guys in there ladies in their families that doing these things, or they can see it on a movie from their teacher sharing. So they've been exposed to this. Like if the kids like been like raised and in a academic family, for example, and being taught that business is not our things, then of course the kid will be developed differently. So it's half the nurturing, but then of course there will be cases that even in that environment there will be kids that very entrepreneurial. So it's had some sort of gene in there, but it needs the right timing, the right setup, the right environment for that kind of seed to grow. Right? If the seed want to open a newsstand, a lemonade stand, whether the parent is supportive or not, right? So it's also his luck in some way that he been supportive to try that first things and along the way in your journeys, even in my journeys, right, I think I can engage into these things because I'm lucky to have a group of friends that are like-minded, and then we all we keep talking about these things. That's why it feel confident and safe for me to try it out because my friends are supporting me. Imagine that I've been like hanging around with maybe a group of PhD, and then they always talking about research, for example. Of course, I will, when I try to do business, I cannot really talk to them, share to them, and they even advise me against it. So, but it's also my own intention to choose who I hang out with for to a certain extent. So it cuts both ways.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So back to your question, definitely that you people are born differently, and I believe that some people have this more of the tendencies to become an entrepreneurs. But then the nurturing of the environment, the support, the exposure, and as well as the timing and the luck will having a very strong factor in as well.
Okay. Let me ask you, how do you process I mean, I guess you've been doing it for so long that there's no fear that's in you. I think with a lot of people, even myself, there are ideas I wanted to come up with, and I mean, read about it all day, read more books than the average person on it, but never taking that leap. So that's another question. I guess that's part two of it. But original question was, how do you process fear? And I remember playing for sports, football, things of that nature. Before the game, I was terrified. But once you're in the game, the adrenaline's going. You don't even have time to even think about fear anymore. At that moment, you're kind of going off instinct, and everything that you practice kind of comes out second nature. What do you think as far as you're a serial entrepreneur. You don't have any fear. It doesn't seem
No,
like
no, no, no. Actually, I have bigger fear every day, right? Like imagine when your business have become big, right? You have 300 people to feed. The fear is actually even more tremendous than it used to be 5, 10 people, right? The fear of making the wrong decision, the fear of the market or the competitor going to crush us, all these things, and the fear of not able to raise money to go to the next round. So the fear just getting bigger. Said you can never get away with it. But I think that's a good quote. I'm just paraphrasing it here from I think James Clear that one way to face a fear is taking actions, right?
Yeah.
Because the more you like you say, of course you fear of the injury in the game, but when you step in the game, you can't forgetting about it. And say similar for starting a business, right? If you just keep reading about it and then reading the news and all that, the fear just then even getting bigger. But when you taking the first step, like okay, let me sit down, at least to build a business plan, at least to talk to the customers, then you starting to understand more about the thing that you're trying to do and the fear going to subside because now you know what's going on, what it really is, right? And the fear is mainly coming from something that we don't know. So if we starting to know about it, then of course we might, one way is that we might realize, oh, this shit is more scarier than we thought because maybe we don't have that. But when you start doing it, I think getting to understand like even like for example if you fear the spider you fear the snake but when you start able to touch them and you realize oh shit it's not really that scary so it's always about the courage that taking the first step and keep like doing it keep like taking the next few steps because if you let fear hold you back definitely the fear is never gone and you never able to do anything so yeah I face the fears every day and I will and of course, even that's a good advice. I keep forgetting from time to time. Say, well, so I paralyze all the time. But of course, that's why that's another good thing is that how you can set up an environment that can keep pushing you into it. Right. That's why I say I have a good group of friends, my co-founders. They are the one who actually have a lot of drive and courage and even much more aggressive than me. And they will be the one who push me to it into it or even dragging me along. So I designed that kind of mechanism to force me out of the fear.
Okay. Okay. And you brought up another question, and I know I was going to ask another question, but since you brought this up, let me ask you: Are we? I read something one time that said we are the sum of the five closest people that we have in our life. Now, I know you mentioned that people have pushed you as well. How important do you think your social circle is to success?
So it's extremely important. So that's something that we need to really be mindful of. Um, yeah, and of course, if you're reading on the advice sharing from successful people, they keep mention it, but then you may feel that okay, whether it's really applicable to me, right? And And personally, actually, I always have to take a more balanced approach for it. Of course, like I don't want to just use my five closest friend would be the millionaires, for example. Uh, and because of course I will become a millionaire, that's good. But then because not all my millionaire friends are the one who I really want to hang out with every day. No, yeah, I can meet them from time to time, and actually they also have their own multi-millionaire friends. So you want to be in their circle, but question is how you can be helpful to them, how can you be useful to them, how you can be a good friend to them as well. So that cut both ways. But I think the point here is mainly how you can purposefully decide. Like you need to realize like for a week, maybe not really that you book your friend in calendar, but maybe you just pull out the calendars and look at how like who are the one who I'm hanging out with, and I think the more important question is that what that person actually giving me. So the giving here is not like something you're extracting from them, but what I can give you is advice, support, even the vibe, or even the way they sharing about the world that keep you curious, inspiring you, right? So what you're getting out from hanging out with them. And I think should be something that you should do some sort of bounce check from time to time, like every quarter or every year that hey, I'm hanging with and whether that's helpful for me. Of course, that sounds a little bit selfish, but but the other way to look at it is that of course you want to hang out with them because you're receiving, but then normally it's also about you actually able to give to them. Otherwise, like if you cannot really be a good friend, like giving back the energy, giving back the support, encourage them, inspire them, then of course the friendship could not last, right?
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of people been stuck with their um the circle of friends from their high school, from their university, from their workplace, that they too comfortable, and when they and when they have ability to be able to connect to a different person that may be much more helpful for them, they couldn't get out of their comfort zone, or maybe just scare or fear that okay, whether I can really talk to that guy because that guy is much richer, why he want to hang out with me. That's why then the question of what values you can bring to that person's is also important,
I agree.
and get out of comfort zones, how to connect with them in the deep levels, and designs in such a way that this kind of friends and circle give you what you need, because it depends on who you are, where you are right now, right? Maybe for your case, okay, you're about to start a business. Oh, hang out with those who already started, or also thinking of starting, because the conversion that you're having every day is something that helpful for your journeys. And if you are already established running a few different business, for example, or try to scale up a business, then those CEO in the same place, or even some people that been done doing that before, you can look up to them as a mentor, advisors.
Mhm.
That is what you need to really supporting you. And of course, there are some other who really just for emotional support. They are important too. They're just someone who can listen to you, can listen to your whining about the troubles of the days, having a beers with you, whatever. But I think that's those friends also important. As long as they're not negative, they sucking out more energy. But if they just maybe just sitting there and bore you newbie every once in a while and listen to your story, I think that's also perfect.
I agree. I agree. And so we mentioned a couple of times about comfort zone and just getting out of your shell and meeting people. And by the way, that's how I met you. That's how we met, right? Me approaching
Yeah.
you, and it's been a great experience. You're teaching me a lot. I look forward to learning even more from you. So we mentioned things like or we mentioned taking those risks to the point where they become second nature, things of that nature. Do you think books? Because somebody, and I mentioned earlier that someone can read books all day. They can read 100 books on entrepreneurship, but until they make that leap, it's not gonna do anything. It's just I don't even know if you consider it It's not applied,
Yeah.
but you're just reading about it. So with that being said, do you think are there any other ways to get that second nature? Like knowing things like the back of your hand. I think the only way to do it is to get that information is to do something. I don't think that
Sure.
reading make anyone take the leap. What do you think? We spoke a lot about me and you have in common. We both like to run, both like to exercise and listen to podcasts and audiobooks. We mentioned the last time we talked.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
think all that really gives someone the necessary courage to get out there and do it? Or what do you think?
I think books is always good, right? Unless in what you describe, it's just some alternative for you instead of taking action, right? So instead of okay, I want to do this. So you have two options. One is actually doing something about it. Second is try to find a book about. And so then naturally, some people are leaning to second option because that's comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah, right. So they
comfort level.
believe like they need to equip more skills and they need to understand more about this. They need to learn more about entrepreneurs. Listen to more entrepreneurs podcast, whatever. Right. So that gives them some sort of alternative and comfort, right? But then I guess going back to facing the fear and actually be able to just taking the first step, we can call it courage, but then it normally it just that depends on how you're looking at it, right? The first step mainly would just like sitting down and understand what it really is you are trying to do, like uh, have a mental process for it, like thinking and then taking some small action toward. For example, if you really want to start a business about let's say for example like coaching other pupils to do product development, right? So the first thing is that try to find out who could be your clients and that way what they are facing with. So instead of just assuming, right? So one thing for entrepreneur that I normally mentoring them with when they start their business, I keep always coming back to the whole customer development, like validate the problem, validate solution, all of this, right? Because actually this talking to the real customers and understand where they are, what like who they are, what kind of problem they're facing with, how painful it is, right? Actually, this is the real anecdote that you need to understand because that's not been mentioned anywhere in any books. The problem you are trying to solve, the client that you try to have is very unique, and you will be the only one who able to go through this, right? So that's where the book couldn't help, and that's why you need to do it by yourself. And when you doing it will give you some momentum, some better understanding of what's going on, and even like okay, either like that could be something that you can move ahead or even like okay this may not working I need to pivot to another things that also good, right? Because now you are understand deeper and deeper into the thing that you want to do. Yeah, so back to your questions. I think on about reading books, listen to audio book, listen to podcasts, all these things are good to help you facilitate your thinking. I think that normally what I get out when I doing this kind of activities, right? Because and normally I will link to what the book says, the podcast like says, and link to what I'm facing, and to see whether that applicable and okay, that's interesting insight, that interesting way to do it. So could I apply that into whatever I'm currently doing, right? So in order to have that, you need to have a lot of to-do lists, right? A lot of things that you need to solve and work out and figure out, right? And this book I just like keep feeding you different point of view, perspective, and solutions that help you move ahead, right? So if you are starting something, then of course, reading a lot of different books on the same thing would not help, but maybe why you try to find a book relating to that topic, either in terms of process or in terms of the real topic that you're working on. Listen to podcasts from people in the same field because what they say might trigger you to think about your own problems But then that all of this could not replace the real action, because actually when you take the real action, you move to a next level, and then now the book can help. Some other books or the same book can help you to keep moving. So that you should think books like actually another friends, another people that keep sharing their different stories, and whether it can be useful or beneficial is up to you how you use it. Rather, so either those it just like give you some dreams, or those can actually give you some real actionable advice that you can apply immediately.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let me ask you, and we wrap it up too. I just got a message that was on the screen that said that this is my first particular meeting. I'm not sure if we only get 30 minutes until I upgrade my plan or what. But one of the questions I want to ask you about technology. How has technology affected your business in the last 5 years?
I think it's affecting uh, heavily and in a good way. Um, so when I moved to Canada 2 years ago, I actually also a bit scared
Mm,
because actually out of my operating environment, right? I used to running 300 people companies come into office every day, so we problem, blah blah blah, right? But for when I moved here, like I have to work remotely with them, and then looking up, okay, what else I can do in Canada as well. So that's why I think one more important factor in entrepreneurship journeys is about luck and timing. So my luck is that that's when OpenAI launched with on the generative AI stuff, right? So that actually very helpful uh, because actually I'm at the point where I not be able to do very effectively to do more like the basic work, for example, like crafting an emails, crafting for websites, doing some marketing stuff. I'm much more effective in editing, meaning that people have to do something for me and then I will work on it. But with the on the Gen AI stuff, that thing become easier because now the Gen AI become my staff, right? My assistants. That if I want to do something, okay, craft this email, prepare this product roadmap, I can prompt the AI to do for me, and then that is something I can build on very quickly. So the point there is that I replace the own environment with a lot of staff to support me with me be able to do it by myself. So I think that is one way the technology in a very good timing that helped me to survive
yeah.
and then also helped me to start building up different way to do my business in Canada and North America as well, because now I realize, okay, I can build a very lean team that can do support to other stuff, which I understand how, and my team can leverage on this kind of tool, and they just need a few people to do the work of like 10 or 20 people in the typical stuff back then, right? Yeah, so I think that's a very good example of technology be able to help to support to bring all these things to the next level. And of course, that's just one example, but I think with all the new technology trend, as long as we keeping up for it, I believe that you should either like use that technology to solve the problems or use the technology to support you doing your business better in then many different ways to use it. That's why you don't need to be an early adopter. You don't need to be very advanced. You only need to know how to be a good user of the product. You understand how to place, how to use all the tools well. I think that already making a big difference.
I think so too. I think so. And thank you for speaking about artificial intelligence because that was a question that I wanted to ask while you were answering. So thank you for telling us about artificial intelligence. I think it's definitely upon us and it's definitely changing the world and definitely will change the world even more.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
any new things on the rise? I know you're a serial entrepreneur. Do you have any plans to create any more companies, or you think you're pretty set right now, or you want to focus on what you have currently?
Um, yeah, I think mainly would be the amazing development for all these AI tools, right? Of course, with OpenAI themselves, with like Google, Gemini's, and Perplexities, only to become much smarter. And I guess just like my advice would be to keep the lookout on how to use them best, because the result will be like amaze you. For example, the other day I using Perplexity to basically to be the thinking partner with me. So I have some ideas. I ask it to first do some research and then challenge me back. Like, okay, what's the loophole in this thinking, right? So basically, you have a sparring partners that really smart, and help me to solidify my ideas, because actually I'm asking question and even ask it to answer it and then integrate that back into the work that I am doing, right? Um, so the I guess it's how you try with new different new tools. And actually another example is Gamma the app, right? It's not very new, but actually I'm quite amazed with ability to creating slideshow slides and even websites or even any design that basically you just throw into them some text, or even you can just throw in one ideas and then it could generating the text and then generating the slides, right? So that save a lot of time and the slide is just beautiful.
Okay.
So yeah, so I think that's some the tools that I've been amazed recently, and I actually looking forward to see how all these things going to be evolve, because it just like at a very different speed that it used to do for technology change.
Me too. Me too. So we have less than a minute to record. Any last thing you want to say? You want to shout out your website or anything?
Um, yeah, first, thank you for hosting me on this very good question to have me think as well. And I guess I will open to do a mentorship session on ADB list. Just go there and search for my name, Bui Haian, Buihian, and you can find me there.
All
So
right, sir. All right, sir. Well, thank you very much for speaking with me today. It was a pleasure and an honor. Thank you for being part of the podcast. And we'll talk to you later. Have a great one.
yeah.